Alright, what's up, dudes? Welcome back to Duty's Daggers. We're reviewing the Kunwu Knives Compadre today. This is a really good knife. I think it might be a knife of the year. We'll see. There's still some months to go here, but so far, I think for me it's going to be. So let's talk about it. First, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Look down there and make sure you are. And while you're down there, just like the video, please. That helps me out a lot. So, when I talk about knife of the year, that means knife of the year for me. For all the knives that I've bought this year or checked out this year. Obviously, I have not been able to look at every knife that came out this year. It's impossible for me. So, different reviewers are going to have different picks depending on which knives they bought and checked out during the year. For me, this is in the top 3. Now I'll give you my number 2 spot, and that's the Quiet Carry Drift Large. Now this may not count technically because I believe the first drop of the Drift Large was in December of last year, so really close, but may not qualify. I might give it a pass because it's so good. We'll see. But this video is about the Compadre. So, let's look at this thing. Let's resurrect it real quick. This is the small version of the Padre, which I used to own. I used to own a full-size Padre. I loved it. But then someone made me a trade offer that I couldn't refuse. Someone wanted to trade me their small Sabenza for my Padre, and I just had to do it. So, it is what it is. And I was always planning on buying myself another one because I loved it so much. But then these came out. And I thought, wow, I might actually like that even better than the original Padre because it's a little bit smaller. And, the original Padre is a big knife. And in general, I'm not a big knife kind of guy. There are exceptions for sure. And the Padre was one of those. It was an exception because I loved it so much. It didn't really matter to me that it was pretty big. But when I tried this one, wow, it's everything that the Padre is, but just shrunken down a little bit into more of a manageable size for me. This is better than the Padre for me. Now, if you have huge hands, you're gonna like the Padre bigger, probably. This is the exact same thing, just shrunken down. So, yeah, really just depends on your size preferences. The blade is 3 inches. Actual cutting edge is about 2 7/8. Handle is like 4 1/4. So overall, we're looking at about 7 1/4. It's about rosy size. Yep, a little bit longer than the rosy. Kind of comparable to the rosy, actually, when you look at them. Both have kind of these 2 finger groove areas here where you can get nice and choked up on the blade. They both have kind of a sloped backside, I guess you'd call it. Both have really deep, low bellies. And both have even though they have deep bellies, they have low tips, too. So, yeah, 2 really comparable knives, actually. It's the first time I'm looking at them side by side, to be honest, and yeah, wow. Very similar. The Compadre has the front flipper, the Rosy does not. Both are dark stonewash. The stonewash looks better on the Rosy, though, gotta say. But on the Padre, it looks really nice. Really nice. So yeah, if you want something that feels sort of like a Rosy, Padre might do it for you. Now, nothing's ever going to beat the reverse flick from the Rosy. It's the best in the game, period. So the Compadre is not going to beat that, but it is a really good reverse flick. Let's do quick size comparisons. Let's get out a Spyderco Manix and a Spyderco Para 3. Sort of a similar knife to the Para 3 also. Almost exactly the same size. Choke up areas. Sort of back of the knife kind of hooks down a little bit. Let's do the Drift Large and the regular Drift. There you go. About the same size as the regular Drift, maybe slightly longer. And then some budget bangers. the petrified fish mini beluga, and the rat. There you go. Perfect size. Perfection in the size department. So, how much is this knife? About $300. I think. I think it was about $300. You got Vanex blade steel. You have some sort of Timascus, I think, pivot collar. Both sides. Kind of nice little pop of color. I'm not really a Timascus, or what do you want to call it, kind of guy. But this is a nice little accent. Sometimes when there's like a full scale of it, I don't really like it. It's a little too flashy for me, but this is a nice little touch. The texturing on the handle is absolutely fantastic. It is so nice, man. It looks good. It's grippy, but not grippy to where it's like hurting you. Now, the pocket clip is riding on that texture. I haven't really noticed it much of a problem, though, honestly. My pocket don't seem really ripped up, It goes in and out of the pocket just fine. Doesn't really seem to be an issue. It's a really interesting knife, It's definitely a knife that doesn't look like every other knife. Some people will say, oh yeah, the CKF Evo knives, whatever you want to call those things, are pretty similar. I guess they're a little similar, yeah. But some people are like, oh, it's a ripoff. I don't see it. It's definitely similar. There's a lot of knives that are similar to other knives. This is definitely not a ripoff of that. It's pretty unique. Now, I just did a cut test with this knife, and I encourage you to go watch that, because you're really going to see this blade shape demonstrated, and I'm going to show you in that video how well it does on pretty much any type of cutting that you need to do. It slices like crazy. It's not super thin blade stock or anything. It's, let's see, 125 thousandths. So, not crazy thin. But it just cuts, dude. It just freaking slices. Behind the edge, we're looking at... come on now. 11 thousandths there. About 15 thousandths there. The tip about the same. 12, 13 thousandths. So, nice and thin behind the edge. But really what does it, I think, is the blade shape. There's no straight section to this edge at all. It starts here, it dips down a little bit, and then it comes up to the tip. Continuous belly, no straight edge to it. A few reasons that's really nice. Holding it in a pinch grip like this, say you have some rubber hosing on a piece of wood that you need to cut. You start with the tip, and you rock back, and look at all this belly I can get down on the surface. Almost all of it, dude. Look. So you have all that edge to play with, to pinch that piece of rope or rubber tubing, whatever it is, in between the flat surface and the sharp edge. You're just pinching it like a pair of scissors, just shink. You're not banging your knuckles on the surface trying to get down to the belly. It's just, you're just rocking on this belly. But it's still low tip. Utility cuts are really good with this thing. Slicing. You have this big belly. If the cardboard kind of drifts out towards the tip, you can slip out. But if you keep it like right in here, it's perfectly good. Your fingers there, making sure the cardboard doesn't slide and get snagged up in the choil. So the cardboard kind of slides along your finger, and you just slice, baby. You freaking slice. So that's my attempt to explain how good the blade shape is. Go watch the cut test so you can see how good it is. But you really aren't going to get 100% feel for how good this blade shape is until you get one and you try it. Until then, just take my word for it. It is a performance-oriented blade shape, even though just looking at the knife you might think it's more of like a knife that's for looks, And that may be the case to some extent, but regardless of what the intent was, this thing is a really good cutter. It's a really good blade shape for all kinds of cutting. So, blade shape, cutting performance, excellent. Look at the plunge grind sharpening choil area. Super tight radius on that plunge grind. That's almost a 90-degree plunge grind. And look how far the edge termination is away from that. You cannot ask for more than that. I mean, that's just above and beyond. That's excellent. Ergonomics are fantastic. This hump in the handle kind of sits right in the middle of your palm right here. You're choked up. Your thumb is on this little kind of flat area if you want it to be, or it's just wrapped around here. The butt of the knife kind of comes down, which kind of does more to lock your hand in this way. You know, it can't slip out because, you know, it's grabbing your hand with this part of the section of the handle. You've got a nice jimped or whatever geared backspace or whatever you want to call it. You could carry it in a reverse grip, and this jimping is nice on your thumb if you're doing that, something like this. The lanyard hole area. I don't know really how I feel about this area back here. I think it looks cool. And I have no complaints as far as the pocket clip goes because it is a clip that works well. And there's not much showing out of your pocket. There's about this much. That's not a problem for me at all. So now that I'm talking about it, I don't think I really have a problem with it. Some people would say they would rather the pocket clip be prioritized above the lanyard hole. I get that for sure. I really don't have a problem with it though because it works good. Everything just works fine. So I don't have any problem with it. Some pretty cool like intricate machining in here. If you look at this kind of loop area that's chamfered, and as it meets up with the chamfer on the inside of the scale here, see if I can get you a good look. Maybe not. It's just a cool little area. The chamfer on the inside of this scale stops perfectly as this one begins. The fit and finish on this is fantastic. It really is. Kunwu knows how to make knives. Action. Really good. Really, really good. I always loved the top flipper / front flipper on this knife because it's kind of angled back a little bit. It's not like straight up like a horn like you see a lot of front flippers. It's angled back a little bit. And that makes it almost feel like more of a top flipper. That's why I accidentally called it a top flipper, because it feels like it is. Your finger's more on the top of this part of the knife rather than in the front of it. It's more on the top. And man, is it fire. So hard. So easy to use. You can do this, the reach around. You can do the side finger. The reverse flick is excellent. Really slams out. Even the thumb flick, man. The thumb flick is excellent. It's not always the case with, knives that are good reverse flickers. Sometimes they're great reverse flickers, not great thumb flickers. This is really good at both. And you have the front flipper. It's a very fidgety knife. I think I might want to put skiffs in here, but it is nice and smooth. I think it could be a little smoother maybe with skiffs, but it's pretty damn good. Whoops. Yeah, the action's really good. It's just a lot of cutting performance in a perfectly sized package, I think. This is all the edge you're ever going to need, realistically. With what I do with my knives, and what most of you guys do with your knives, you don't need more edge than this. You just don't, What's the amount of cutting edge compared to the Rosie? There might be slightly more on the Compadre, but it is very close. Yeah. All in all, this is excellent. And the Padre is excellent. Now, the Padre, for me, almost won Knife of the Year last year. The 9 beat it out by a little bit. The Quiet Carry 9. That says something, man. For me, the Padre almost won last year, and the Compadre, the smaller version of the Padre, it might win this year. 2 years in a row, Kunwu has knives that I think are in the top 3 Knife of the Year. potential. That's wild. And I know I'm not the only one. Everyone that I've talked to loves the Compadre. It's just fantastic. I really have zero. I have zero nitpicks. I guess there is one. I am not a massive, huge fan of Vanex. I would have preferred something with higher edge retention on this knife. Vanex has really good stainlessness, but it has around the same edge retention as like some nicely heat treated D2, according to the Knife Steel Nerds chart, that is. And it's not bad. You'll see in my cut test that it held up just fine through the whole cut test. I was still pretty much cutting paper at the end of it. I was having a little bit of trouble. When I brought out that real thick edge killer rope, it made it through one cut, and it was still cutting paper. The second cut, it was barely cutting paper. But the good thing is this blade steel straps back really fast. It went from not cutting paper at all. I did 5 strokes on either side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it was back to cutting paper really easily. So that's nice. So it's really fine, It's not something to where it makes me like the knife less because it does strap back so easily. But if I did have one thing that I could change, I would put something on here like, I don't know, anything with better edge retention, really. And that would be the only thing. So, if you live in a part of the world where you need your knife to be stainless, then you're in luck. Vanex is very stainless. Me, I don't really need to worry about it. Plus, it's stonewashed, so a little bit of patina, a little bit of changing color of the blade isn't really going to affect many things, at least for me. So that's about it. Compadre might win Knife of the Year. Very possible. It's fantastic. It'll be linked down below. You can go take a look at them. That's it. Please like the video before you head out. I'll see you next time.